Hello, Clinton Begg here, and welcome to Branding Online, proudly presented by Business Station, Advanced Rockhampton, Regional Development Australia, and Clinton Begg Consulting. In today's session, you're going to learn a lot, but first of all, if you want to get to know a lot about myself, please take your phone out now and scan the QR code that is currently being displayed on your screen in order to learn a little bit about myself as a presenter. And yeah, possibly this day, a couple of extra things that you might want to learn about me as a presenter through my website. Today with Branding Online, we're basically going to go through a step-by-step process that will help you with practical guidance on how to build a brand online. On your screen at the moment, you can see quite a few little squares there. These are the steps that we are going to take to give you a bit of a direction in regards to what you need to do to elevate your brand online to get the best out of your brand in the digital space. Number one, what we're going to look at is what have we currently got? What's currently in play with our business when it comes to, say, digital assets or the performance of our digital presence online? What have we got? Our starting point. Then what we need to do is we need to look at doing some research in regards to possibly things like what type of digital assets will help us to move our branding online forward, and possibly even in some cases, what particular digital assets we may have that are holding our digital branding or a brand online back. These are the type of things that you need to be looking at from a research point of view. We're also going to look at investing in your brand, outlay. What type of outlay am I going to need in the digital space in order to elevate my brand? What type of investment? Do I need to invest quite a significant amount of money into my brand because it's just not moving forward online? Or do we take a minimalistic type approach and be a bit more strategic about how and what we invest into our brand moving forward? Designing your business digitally. So, and I'll end up getting that out, but yeah, designing your business digitally. What do we need to do in regards to presenting our business online from a digital perspective? Very key to understand strategically how we actually place our brand in a consistent mode in varying areas that our audience is going to be. And how to find your voice online. Or your brand language. Your brand language. Is your brand language quite serious? Is your brand language quite jovial? Or is it neutral? How do you actually deliver that digitally online by finding your voice? And going online. Many businesses, especially in the last 12 months, have transitioned their business into the online environment where they may well have to have changed their business mode of delivery, or they may well be in a particular circumstance where they're going online, where they're actually offering different ways of sales modes for their business for the very first time. So just taking you through that process to understand that it's not a scary thing to actually go online and get into the digital space to put yourself out there in order to build your business brand. Creating your content. This seems to be quite the sticking point for many, many people. Understanding what type of content is going to hit the mark, or if I've got a sale item, how do I present that sale item out to the greater community with my brand? So making sure that the content that we're actually creating, dependent in regards to what platform it might be, whether it's through social media or through search engines or through email marketing or through your website, what is the type of content that we should be utilizing or creating that reflects our brand, and going back also to our voice online as well. And running with social media. In many, many cases, and as part of today's webinar, I'm going to be taking you through how we establish what particular platform we should or should not be on, especially in that social media space. I'm a very big believer in social media that you need to make sure that you are on a social media platform that's reflective of the type of business you have and also the type of industry that you're actually working in, but also making sure we execute that particular social media platform well. Not just trying to make a half attempt at it. We must be executing that to its fullest. Promoting your brand. What are some of the other vehicles that we can utilize to help promote our brand in the digital space to engage the digital economy? There are many different types of promotional tools and also promotional modes that you can actually utilize in order to get your brand out there in the digital space. And SEO, search engine optimization. This one here is one of my favorite talking points, primarily because of the different types of offerings that are out there from various sources. You know, I'm going to talk you through or walk you through the basics in regards to what you can do in order to help assist your SEO, search engine optimization, in forward, pushing your brand out there and forward, pushing your brand forward in that SEO space. All these components equals don't stop being consistent. Everything we do that you can see in each box, in each area, the step-by-step approach, very much comes down to consistency, making sure we're absolutely consistent with everything that we do in the online space and keeping it simple. So yeah, step-by-step as to how we actually get our branding online. Like we said earlier in the opening, we need to understand what have we currently got. What is it that we're currently working with in our business at this point in time? So whether that be through search engines, are we actually utilizing search engines like Google or Bing or any other chosen search engine? Are we using those particular platforms to the best of their ability? Or we're not using them at all? Very, very important that we are. So how do we introduce that into our business and our digital offerings? So very, very important. So check to see what we're like in that search engine space. Even if we aren't driving the content or the information through to those search engines ourselves, Google yourself or go to your preferred search engine and check to see when you put your business name in, what comes up. Does anything come up? Is it favorable? Is it neutral? Is it just not so good? Go and check yourself out in regards to what you currently got in that searchability space, in that search space. Social media, how are we interacting with our social media? What are we looking at? How many posts are we actually putting out content-wise on a daily, weekly, monthly, bi-monthly, yearly basis? Also, looking at things like statistics. These are the type of things we need to go and have a good look at. You might have a CRM system in play, a customer relationship management system. Checking to see if that's actually working for you, making sure that the data or the information that's actually being produced from that particular software or that system is actually being utilized, number one, or is effective, number two. Can you actually tell what's going on in the heartbeat of your business through your CRM system? Your website, credible landing point. Credible landing point. So a website, making sure that when we check what we've currently got, do we have a fully mobile optimized website? Do we have currency of information contained on our website to make sure it reflects our brand, reflects who we are and where we currently want to be heading? Communication tools, whether it be dropping Messenger into your website or if you're using WhatsApp, are these type of mechanisms things we are currently utilizing or aren't utilizing that we could introduce into our business to help push our branding forward? And also email marketing, for example, even down to your email signature to make sure that you got live links where people can go boom, boom, to a landing point, preferably to your website. We really have to be, in many ways, a little bit self-critical in regards to what we've currently got. When we establish that, it's also important to know what we currently have gotten or got that we can improve on. So making sure that we go through and do a critical audit of what where we currently stand online. And that may well be just making a list of every single digital component within your business and going through to see what returns or what areas of improvement may well be obvious that you can execute through a planning process. So yeah, being self-critical, going through and having a look through an audit process and understanding where you currently stand. Critical component in this next step here is about doing the research. Many times in people that I deal with in the business space, many people are very open to seeing what their competitors in their competitive market space are actually doing. It is critical that you do have an understanding and check what your competitors are actually up to. Check what your competitors aren't doing as well. So check what they're doing, but also check what they're not doing. That's also something that's very, very important. You might say, well, why are we checking what they're not doing? You may identify an area that you could adopt, you could drive forward, that creates a distinct point of difference to your competitor. Check in what your competitors are doing. Okay, so the aren't doing and they are doing. Have a look at what they're doing in your particular space, but also importantly, have a look what are the industry and sector trends. What's happening in your type of area, in your type of space at this point in time, when it comes to what's trending, what's not trending, and can you possibly get on that bandwagon, I guess, and create the piggyback effect to get a bit of a flow on from that, to actually get a little bit of an opportunity off that as well. So check to see what your industry trends are. Doing the research, you need to understand one of the most important parts of your brand is your target audience. Who are our audience? Are our target audiences, 18 to 25s, right? Or is our target audience 50 to 70? We need to have an understanding in regards to who our current audience is and who our current audience should be, or who the current audience we want to be. We need to get that understanding, and that goes through that audit process. If you go through that audit process and have a look at the data that's generated by things like social media platforms or your websites or search engines, you'll get a very clear picture in regards to who's actually looking at your business digitally and understanding what your brand is about. Again, doing that research from an audit perspective may well be as simple as going to Google, going into a search engine and seeing where you come up when you put in your business name. Or conversely, put in the types of products and services that you're actually delivering upon to see if you come up in the area that you're actually servicing. Simple as going through a search engine, or even looking at say Facebook or social media, going into the search area and typing your name in to check to see if there's any information, if people have been mentioning you on their posts, if they're utilizing a generic hashtag, for example, based on your name. Go through and do that research. It's all going to be a part of that absolute audit process to make sure we are getting a really good understanding about where our current digital standing is, and possibly we even may well get a really clear indication in regards to what our performance is like as well. The next step really is looking at investing in your brand. And a lot of this comes from things like your brand assets. What are we, once we've gone through our audit process, that sort of step-by-step initial process in the infancy of looking at exactly where we are, what are the brand assets that we currently have in play? What are the brand assets that we can possibly introduce into our business, purchase and then introduce into our business that may well complement or drive our digital footprint forward online? Our website, making sure that we do, as I mentioned a little bit earlier in the webinar, making sure we have a fully mobile optimized, responsive website, and making sure that we do invest money into making sure that that website actually holds currency of information and it reflects who we are. In many cases, and I say this quite often to business owners, treat the website or your business website like it's another team member. Treat your website like it is another team member. And also professional tools, for example, whether it's going through things like, content creation tools like Canva, for example, one of the most wonderful pieces of software when it comes to creating consistent delivery of content generation. So professional tools might also be along the lines of looking at how you actually set up Messenger correctly to actually get that automatic response out to people who come and want information from you. Take that time to look at investing in your brand or the brand assets holistically, where we actually go, yes, we need to spend this amount of money in this space because of this. We want to get that outcome. Designing your business, very good this. I mean, especially one of the sponsor of this particular webinar here today, Advanced Rockhampton, in conjunction with the Rockhampton Regional Council, for example, this is their logo, this is their brand. So when we're looking at designing your business or designing the look and feel of your business, we need to make sure that our fonts that we have are named and consistent. We need to make sure that our logo delivery or our branding is actually, or logo in this particular case, but our branding is delivered consistently. Brand elements can be used as a separate identity tool to identify who and what that particular business or that brand stands for. And also your color palettes, making sure that they are correct all across your branding platform. In that one particular logo, for example, I've just extracted 4 areas that need to be set aside, identified, worked upon, and making sure that those 4 key elements there are adopted and rolled out in your business effectively when it comes to presenting your business online digitally to grow your brand. It has to be collective consistency when it comes to this type of area here, those 4 different types of elements. In that case, what you then may well want to look at doing is creating your own digital style guide where all your fonts, your brand, your logo, sorry, your colors are all in the one spot, and in every which way you look, the style guide will actually provide you with guidance when you do and don't use your branding online. So yeah, critically important. Have a look at possibly developing a style guide for your business. Finding your voice online, as I am here today, very jovial individual, but how do you find your voice online? And a lot of it does come back down to your brand, your look and feel, that consistency of the color palettes, your fonts, that whole consistency of professionalism assists with how you actually present your voice online. This is how. So your tone, voice, and values need to be consistent and transparent across your whole brand. Consistent, key word here. It's no use having a friendly, informal voice on your social media, but then a dry, serious tone on your website. Our key words, our key phrases, the way that we actually deliver the type of tone in our written content reflects on our brand. And is it really reflecting who we're about and what we stand for? So keeping that consistent delivery, not just with your logo and what the fonts are like, what the colors are like and what the elements are like, but also understanding that how you actually deliver your content is actually speaking your tone for your brand representation in the digital space as well. And as I've mentioned a couple of times now, to this point, it's all about collective consistency, bringing everything together. Once you develop, going through the audit process, going through, A, B, C, D, getting to the point where it actually becomes collective consistency. Everywhere we're looking at putting our brand online, for example, or our brand elements or our tone of voice is always consistent. That is a really, really critical component in your branding online. Collective consistency, extraordinarily important. What are the 3 words you want to reflect your brand? What I want you to do in your own time is actually sit down and think of 3 words that reflects your brand, and then go and have a look at where you're currently sitting with your online paw print, and go, is that what these words are representing? 3 words only. Have a look. Be self-critical. You have to be self-critical, because how can you improve if you aren't reflective on yourself? Sometimes we become very shop blind very, very easily when it comes to our brand and the brand development online. And it's important that we do look at it, not through rose-colored glasses, but to have a really good, hard, self-reflective look at where we currently are. So those 3 words, reflective of what your brand's all about. Going online. Some people, like I said, mentioned at the start of the webinar here today, in many cases, especially over the last 12 months, people are transitioning online to a different mode of delivery of their business, possibly a different mode of sales, how they actually do sales online, for example, as part of their business offering now. They're having to change that up. So going online, the three areas that I like to focus on, number one, are search engines. How do we actually make sure that we are being found? And it's very important because when we look at the statistics and the data, for example, through Deloitte's, 92% of Australians over the age of 18 have a mobile device of some description, which means that they're connected. There's connectivity there. So the ability to search is at the forefront of what they're doing in their hand with their mobile phone or their tablet or their laptop computer, or in some cases on their smartwatches. The other thing too that is part of the going online process is, we've got to understand how we build our search engine, in many cases, SEO, search engine optimization, but making sure that when people find you, that they have credible landing points to get information about you at. And that goes back to what I mentioned a little bit earlier in the webinar here today about making sure that we've got a fully functional, mobile optimized, responsive website in play for the landing point to support your brand online. And also social media. So three real areas here that you need to execute well in order to get that brand online in an effective fashion. Going online with search engines, for example, comes down to Google My Business plus Bing equals searchability. These two particular search engines are the two most popular search engines in Australia. So Google My Business, supported by Google, obviously, and obviously Bing through the Microsoft platform as well. Important thing that we need to know, and as I mentioned before, 92% of Australians have a mobile device of some description. Mobile device, so they're searching. They're on their phone searching. I don't want to actually put a statistic on how long people are searching for, but they are there. They've got connectivity, they've got the ability to search. When we're looking at search engines, for example, feed a search engine. Current information, keywords, phrases, and imagery equals greater searchability of your brand online. Feeding that search engine, hence the tiger stripes, feeding that search engine currency of information will result in greater searchability of your brand online, creating that brand awareness, that brand reach and strength. As you can see here, when we look at this particular search engine here, this is me. I'll use myself as an example here. And when you go through Google and search my name, for example, here's me. Begg, Begg, consistency of information, what's going on in my life, what am I doing? Over here, for example, feeding that search engine with posts, just like we would on social media, for example, having a look what I'm up to, the workshops that I'm doing, seeing the types of presentations I'm doing. It can be static image, or in this case here, it might be video. Be adventurous. Feed these search engines like Google, for example, with this type of information. It will intensively increase your searchability. There is not a problem or a doubt with that. Embrace this particular area here. But as you can see, when you're looking at searching my name, for example, there is a consistent message of my name coming up in a search engine associated with me and what's going on with currency, with what I'm actually doing right now, for example. The other really important thing that needs to be achieved when we're trying to get that brand down online is making sure that we are looking at a 360 view of search. So yes, Google My Business being the #1 search engine in this country, but also Bing. So looking at creating a Bing Places for Business or a Bing business account and creating that particular account is very, very simple here. As you can see, once you create the account, it's going to ask you if you've already got a Google My Business account. If you do not have a Google My Business account at this point in time, when you do create your Google My Business account, please make sure that you get the verification code sent to you and enter that verification code prior to attempting to connect Bing to your Google My Business account as here. So once you actually create a Bing account, it's going to ask you if you've already got a Google My Business account. Once you go through that process I just mentioned before, you're going to be able to hook both of those accounts together, and then your searchability again grows across the variant platforms. The other thing too that we're going to look at here is important information. Very simple process when you're connecting the two, that both of them just come together. So the connection process is basically the click of a button, and then your searchability grows from there. And again, once you've done that process, you have created yourself a Bing Places account, and you get your access through to Google as well. So those steps in that whole process for a search engine or searchability are very step-by-step driven, but they're a very easy process to actually attain once you actually go through and do that process to do that connection. Important. So whether it's through Google, whether it's through Bing, for example, make sure when you're setting these platforms up that you are being strategic. And what I mean by that is making sure that you're very precise about your service areas. So you can actually put in your service areas where you want your brand and your name to be seen. So making sure that when we set up those platforms in their individual dashboards, for example, or in Google, make sure that our coverage areas are specifically put in and actually, I suppose, very reflective of where we want to sell our products and or our services to. Have a look at your insights. Have a look at the insights and the data that's actually generated by these search platforms, which give you a really, really good understanding about things like your audience ages, location, their sex, what they're actually looking for in your business, for example. So understanding your insights and taking the time to develop strategies from that type of data. Services and products, making sure we are very, very to the point with the types of services and the products that we are actually delivering as a business. It might seem simple, but you must be doing it in its entirety, making sure that we get that our products and our services out there. And post. As you can see there before, when we went through and had a look at that video, for example, making sure that we're actually posting directly onto these platforms. Currency of information again. If you're out and about on a job site and you've just completed a job, take a video and put it onto Google. Be showing people what your currency of information is, and it's really going to assist greatly in pushing your brand out online, because your searchability is going to be increasing when you adopt these type of activities by posting directly onto a search engine. Websites. Extraordinarily important that the homepage of your website contains keywords and key phrases that are directly influential and directly relevant to your business. As well, making sure that you mention in there, I like to say no less than 3 times, no less than 3 times. You can put it in there more than 3 times if you wish, but up to no less than 3 times, putting in where your service area is. So whether it be your hometown, whether it be your state, whether it be the country of Australia, and in many cases you may well want to put in there worldwide, or if you've got specific export destinations that you export your product or your services to, place that within that homepage content as well. Primarily because search engines will draw information from that homepage detail on your website. Making sure that your website is mobile optimized. Obviously, as I mentioned there before, 92% of Australians have a mobile device of some description over the age of 18. They want that mobile experience. So what you may well be seeing on a desktop computer, or even down to whether you've got 1 or 2 screens on your computer screen at home or not, is very different to what a website's obviously going to be presented to on a mobile device. So making sure that that is a really good user-friendly experience when people are visiting your website to check out what you are about and what your brand stands for online. Important that when we look at the website, for example, that you have a look and see that your content is very much driven. Your tabs are very, very clear. Don't overpopulate your tabs. Scroll rates, making sure it's easy to scroll through your website. In this particular case, I'm utilizing my website here as an example of what and who I'm about, for example, looking at advertising things like a corporate event as part of what I do, as part of my business and my business delivery, what I do from a one-on-one consultations point of view, my partnership alliances with different people like Business Station, for example, the type of blogs I have, video vlogs, for example, in regards to doing my videos, what I'm actually talking about, what I feel like is trending in the digital environment at this point in time. Different types of workshops, for example, that I may well be doing. For example, you might be having an event or a new product launch or the delivery of a new service, for example. Make sure that your website holds this information, the currency of information of what's actually happening in your business. My contact details area, where it makes it easier for people to be able to reach out and contact me, is very, very important as well. You know, and also in my case, the way that I've built my website, or my team's built my website, is making sure that it always stays on the home page of the website. So the scrollability of my website on a mobile device is a very user-friendly experience. Also, from a communication viewpoint, looking at dropping Messenger directly into your website to assist people to be able to reach out to you directly. Very, very good. I love having Messenger in my website, and I'm highly suggestive that if you don't have Messenger in your website at this point in time, chop, chop. The other thing too, obviously moving forward with websites, looking at keywords and phrases as well. Yeah, so keywords, whether it might be Clinton Begg, digital consultant, or phrases. Clinton Begg is a digital consultant located in boom, boom, boom. He delivers information or services around search engines, websites, and social media. Boom, boom, boom. Keywords, phrases. All to be very relative and reflective of your particular business in order to make sure that it aligns with your brand. Creating your content, next step. And if you recall, and I'm a very reflective person, which means I'll obviously revert back to earlier in the webinar and part of our conversation here today is understanding that when we're creating our content, remember to keep all your content in line with your tone of voice. That includes any videos you create, e.g. on my website there before with the vlogs. Also, graphics and your design. Remember, I mentioned about the investment in different types of tools, for example, or software like Canva, to make sure that our brand consistency is there if we're going to be self-driven when it comes to creating our content and our brand awareness. Don't let them clash with the tone of your content. Do have fun showing what your brand is all about. If you think that doing this is like a bit of a chore, if you ask, it's another thing I've got to do, it's going to reflect. It's going to reflect in your delivery of your brand online. Have fun with it. Enjoy the process of understanding that if you do this right and you build your brand up online right, things will flow, things will follow. And it's so important to understand that as well. So when we're creating the content, that's going to be based around things like your website. It's going to be like social media. It's going to be search content. E.g., I showed you before about, different types of workshops that I was doing, or video, blogs and vlogs, different types of content which is ongoing. That's the way to create really good content. The other good thing that really, really is a good key indicator or a goal-driven activity is a 3-month rolling plan to build your brand online. Know where you want your brand to go. So make sure that that process is a rolling 3-month process when it comes to brand, content creation, and making sure that we understand that that's going to be a rolling plan. So there are different ways in which you can develop a digital plan or strategy, for example, but maintain that bracket time of 3-month rolling. Look, in some cases it may roll out to 6 months. In some cases it may roll out to 12, and in many cases it might roll out to 24. As long as we had that brand, that rolling plan rolling, so we know that our brand is actually going with it and rolling with it and building with it as well. Critical component in building your brand online. When it comes to running with social media, many people want to run that way. They don't want to run that way. And one of the really key components to that is people not understanding what social media platform that they should be using. There seems to be 1,010 different types of, well, not that many, but there seems to be a lot of social media platforms out there now that are offering you as a business owner to go on their platform to promote your brand and your business on their platform. These are just a couple: Facebook, Snapchat, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, TikTok, Instagram, just a few, to name a few. One of the things that we need to look at as well when we're looking at running with social media in our business is, how do you choose which business social media platform to use to build your brand online? How do we actually know what platform to look at? And one of the really good things is that research component. So through Deloitte's here's the stats for Australia. So what are the platforms that are being utilised by businesses in Australia to help build their brand online? And the number one platform is still Facebook for Business. Number two, you're looking at Instagram. Of course, that falls into the Facebook suite of products. LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, WhatsApp, Pinterest, TikTok, so on. So this gives you a really good, hard and sharp snapshot in regards to what platforms are currently being used in Australia by business. These ones. The other thing that you need to look at as well is what people are actually wanting out of social media. So the social media platforms that businesses are using in Australia, what are consumers, what are customers wanting to get out of their engagement with those platforms? And Deloitte's done some really good research here. So increased acquisition of new customers. That's the reason why business owners are utilising social media, is to get new customers through their doors, or interaction online, or sales online. 73% are after that increased acquisition of new customers into their business. Increased brand awareness. 64%. My belief that should be a little bit higher, but with the statistics that we've got through the reputable organisation that Deloitte's is, we're going to run with that. Okay, so people want to know that their brand is getting pushed out on social media, or delivered on social media, or broadcast on social media in a really good way, because you've got that reachability, that really good reach through that social media network. Driving conversations. I suspect in the next 5 to 10 years, conversations through social media and interaction through social media is going to be very, very different to how it looks today. And that's why we need to have that awareness and understanding of what are the products that are currently in the marketplace that we can use for our business in social media, and what could potentially be coming in a few years' time, and how we actually adjust our business accordingly. Increase customer intention, improve the customer experience, the customer journey, improve your brand's competition advantage, improve customer insights, brand protection, improve employee experience, etc. There's a good posse of data there that shows us why business owners are integrating social media into their business, the why. Tips to build your brand on social media in 2021, utilising those social media platforms to the best of your ability. When we're looking at Facebook, for example, Facebook Live, being able to go live on Facebook, and when you do go live on Facebook, for example, any of the people that have liked your Facebook page or are followers on your Facebook page, for example, will get a notification to say that you are live, or that you were live. A really good way to push your brand out into the digital space is by going live on Facebook. That is number one tip. Another tip that we have is the stories area. Stories is really the backbone of social media at this point in time across Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn as well. If you are a person who uses Twitter, there's also fleets in Twitter now, where it's about storytelling, and who is the best person to tell a story about your business but you. So making sure that we utilize the story area in these social media platforms, as it will get your impression rate, how many people are actually seeing your content, a lot higher than what a general news feed is at this point in time. Really going hard at your stories in these particular platforms. Also looking at things like Instagram and that shopping experience, dependent in regards to what type of industry type you or sector you come from, and looking at developing a Instagram shop and having that user-friendly experience where people can actually purchase products from you through that retail experience through Instagram. That's another area or a tip. Promoting your brand online. It's all about planning. Equals dollars, and that's really as quick and sharp or as hard and fast as you can really say it. When you're looking at promoting your brand, you got to make sure that you plan, and you got to understand how much you are actually going to get from your investment or your ROI. What is our return on investment going to be for our planning process? When we look at this here, for example, promoting your brand online, you may well want to look at something like Facebook partnerships. The excellent thing about Facebook partnerships is this. For example, if you've got a product or a service that you're in partnership with someone, with a supplier, ask your supplier if they would be happy to give you some money to promote their product and service on your Facebook page, to promote their brand, promote their product, but also giving your brand the opportunity to grow, but also giving your brand the opportunity to sell products online through Facebook. It's a win-win, 50-50 win-win experience for both parties. So have a look at the Facebook paid partnership example in order to help create your brand, your brand online. When I say help create your brand online, but also help create your brand partnerships online as well, because it creates a lot of credibility in that digital space by having those partnerships being driven. Look at Google display ads. Stay away from, just stay away from your general Google AdWords. Okay. Have a look at your display ads or display campaigns, primarily because what happens is you can put your imagery in there, you can put video in there, and strategically you've got a greater opportunity to build your Google display ads to help push your brand into the areas, the markets, the selling points that you would like, in even many cases, without confusing you, the touch points where people will actually see your ad online to see your brand. So Google display ads. So cancel out Google AdWords and really hone in and focus in on Google display ads. And they're a very cost-effective model in order to get your brand out there online. The other thing too here, what we're looking at is SEO. And that's another step in the process. And as you recall, this is the last step in the process before we look at the consistent model of how you actually deliver your brand online. So SEO, search engine optimization, making sure that if you're using WordPress, for example, I recommend for your website, I recommend installing the Yoast SEO plugin, as it'll help you manage your SEO and make your life much easier with developing your brand online. So this is a plugin that goes into the back end of your website, which will assist you greatly. It's a trusted, proven product in order to assist you with your SEO experience and understanding where you currently sit with your website, for example, in the SEO experience. And don't stop being consistent. As I have mentioned quite a few times, and as you would have recalled in one of the slides about collective consistency, be consistent with the delivery of your brand online. So what you see over here is the same here, as it is here, as it is here. Brand consistency is the only way forward when you're delivering your brand online. You must make sure that it is a consistent process when you're looking at the delivery side of things. So the step-by-step process broken down in general. What have we currently got? Doing the research, investing in your brand, design your business digitally, how to find your voice online, going online, creating your content, running with social media, promoting your brand, SEO, all equals don't stop being consistent. I'm Clinton Begg. That's been Branding Online. Thank you to Business Station. Thank you to Advanced Rockhampton and Rockhampton City Council, Regional Development Australia, and of course, Clinton Begg Consulting.